Then, a pile of papers is thrown onto the table in front of our hero. His assistant explains that now that he's invincible, the factions want to offer marriage alliances. Our protagonist retorts that she won't fool him because he studied plenty of history. He then imagines what marriage alliances are like in dramas, with beautiful, dressed women. In reality, he believes the story is very different, which is why he refuses to go on dates. His sister approaches and says he's a weapon of mass destruction and asks if he understands that. Ye Chen is confused and asks if this is all because he's too handsome and charming. His sister shakes her head no. She pinches his cheeks and says that no woman would look his way if it weren't for his power. With a smile, she reveals that out of fear of retaliation, they will only send the most beautiful girls. With wide eyes, our protagonist finally understands what she was getting at. He realizes she had a good point and that he was looking at the situation all wrong. All flushed, Ye Chen gets excited and asks her to at least send a picture first. He asks if she doesn't have free time for that, but the woman just shakes her head no. She says the choice is his, but it's better to keep a little mystery for them. Back at the restaurant, Ye Chen feels completely played by her and now it's too late. A gentle voice speaks to our protagonist, and he sees that the owner of the voice was standing barefoot in front of him. At this, Ye Chen turns bright red and his heart starts racing at such a kind and pleasant voice. All embarrassed, he replies that coincidentally, he's also there for an arranged date. But when he looks up, the woman was wearing a mask that looked like something straight out of a nightmare. Ye Chen is completely in shock, and his expression changes instantly at that horrifying sight. Despite the scary mask, she has a flawless body. Ye Chen hasn't noticed that yet. The restaurant's customers are terrified and start whispering her name in fear. Just then, the name Lan Duoduo echoes through the entire city, and panic spreads through the restaurant. With that, everyone in the restaurant starts running desperately to flee the scene. A guy on a dragon shouts that she is one of the 10 great calamities, and her poison is super deadly. Amid the confusion, a father runs with his daughter on his shoulders, not understanding the reason for so much chaos. Meanwhile, in the restaurant, our protagonist stares at the mysterious Lan Duoduo right in front of him. Ye Chen points at the woman and asks what she's doing there, since the war has been over for a long time. He then remembers the first time he met her, and she almost sent him to the great beyond with her poison. But back then, he needed a month of intensive treatment with needles and transfusions to survive. After recovering, the guy went for revenge, but his enemy had also gotten stronger. Our protagonist remembers being completely defeated and humiliated by the masked girl. He almost kicked the bucket from exhaustion after being sick for months and needing another blood transfusion. Back in the present, Lan Duoduo seems nervous and tries to find the right words to explain herself. She then reveals that she's there on a blind date under orders from her great shaman. Our protagonist doesn't believe a single word she says. Ye Chen gets worked up and says that can't be, because they were mortal enemies who fought for real. But the woman replies that she has nothing against him, leaving our protagonist shocked by her audacity. He then touches her mask and reminds her that they fought, risking their lives on the battlefield. Lan Duoduo then reveals she was just following orders because it was either complete the mission or kick the bucket. Hearing this, Ye Chen becomes thoughtful and starts to understand her side of the story. All confused, he scratches his head and asks what's going on. She then suggests they continue the blind date, but the idea terrifies our hero. He freaks out and refuses on the spot, saying that just looking at her mask gives him chills. With an awkward smile, the guy says his goodbyes and says it's better if they each go their own way. But Lan Duo calls out to him, asking him to wait a moment. Chen turns around and asks what she wants. The woman reveals that her master predicted his reaction and told her to take off the mask to change his mind. At this, our hero gets curious, remembering that no one has ever seen Lan Duoduo's true face. She then brings her hands to her face and starts removing her terrifying mask. The anticipation builds as the mask is lifted, slowly revealing her hidden face. With that, our protagonist gulps, waiting to see the face behind that mask. The woman finally turns, and Ye Chen can see her appearance for the first time. At that moment, the guy's expression changes from mild surprise to complete shock. With his jaw on the floor, he simply can't believe the beauty of his former enemy. He quickly changes his mind and nods his head, agreeing to the blind date. She's surprised he changed his mind. Then she asks if they can get married now. Our boy doesn't even think twice and starts nodding his head enthusiastically. But seeing his automatic reaction, he realizes he's moving way too fast. So he shakes his head again to snap out of it. Our protagonist then comments that marriage requires true love between two people. Duoduo confidently replies that she'll love him as soon as they get married, and that's that. Ye Chen can't take anymore and starts pulling his hair out in desperation and confusion. He then grabs her and yells, asking if she even knows what love is. Duoduo replies that she doesn't know but she can learn, as she was always the top student in her class. She brags about being super smart and always getting the best grades in school. Our protagonist is impressed by her intelligence and seems to get an idea. He remembers that, unlike her, he had to pray to every saint in the book just to pass his classes. Ye Chen raises a finger and says he'll explain to her what real love is. He closes his eyes and tries to find the right words for his grand explanation. He gets all awkward and scratches his head because he doesn't even know where to begin. Ye Chen becomes desperate, not knowing what to do in such a complicated situation. Duduo then stares at him with a serious expression, patiently waiting for his answer. Ye Chen realizes he never had time for dating because he spent his whole life just fighting and training. Suddenly, a light bulb goes off in his head, and he has a brilliant idea. All excited, he says he'll find someone to ask right now and solve the problem. She's confused and doesn't understand the thing our protagonist is talking about at that moment. He activates one of his divine abilities, his eyes glowing with pure power. Our boy opens a gigantic portal to the universe using his ultimate technique. Duduo is amazed by that absurd display of power right in front of her. With a smile, Ye Chen says his ability to split himself was trained thanks to school exams. He clears his throat, preparing to use his clone summoning technique. Through the portal, we see several clones of his assistant working nonstop in an office. The two of them watch from inside the portal while the woman remains completely clueless. Our protagonist is startled by so many clones and asks her to put away her scary powers. But his original sister appears with her copies, looking like a real company CEO. She approaches the portal, takes off her glasses. They stare at each other, face to face. His sister compliments Duoduo. All shy, young Duoduo responds to the assistant's greeting with a very quiet hello. Pokes Ye Chen in the chest. She gets annoyed and complains that she's busy and doesn't have time for his couple games. Ye Chen says it's important business and asks her to teach Duoduo what love is. Upon hearing that completely ridiculous request, the assistant is shocked and speechless. His sister gets embarrassed and says she knows nothing about love because she's been busy fighting. But Ye Chen exposes her and reminds her that she used to secretly read romance comics hidden in her school backpack. She gets irritated and with a black eye from embarrassment, she asks, "So what?" Our protagonist says that even without combat experience, she has all the theory of love. Awkwardly, the assistant thinks for a moment and prepares to give her grand explanation. She says that loving someone is getting nervous around them and thinking about them all the time, even when you're apart. Our protagonist then turns to Duoduo and asks if she finally understands what love is. At that, Duoduo declares her love on the spot, saying she definitely loves Ye Chen, leaving him with his jaw dropped. She explains that she gets nervous fighting him and afterwards, she only thinks about how to beat him next time. Hearing that totally twisted declaration of love, his sister can't take it and bursts out laughing. She laughs so hard she cries, while Ye Chen gets annoyed and Duoduo remains clueless. Our protagonist snaps at his sister's laughter, but tells Duoduo he doesn't buy it, and that they'll have a private chat later. The assistant keeps laughing so hard she's in tears over the completely bizarre situation she just witnessed. Then she stops laughing and with a serious face, pulls Ye Chen by the arm. Duoduo then watches the two of them teleport away, leaving her behind in confusion. Duoduo is confused by the situation and doesn't understand what just happened. Then, on top of a building, the assistant yells at Ye Chen, asking what he's doing. With the teleport, the two of them appear on top of the skyscraper. Her arms crossed and a serious expression, the sister stares at our hero, waiting for an answer. Ye Chen then yells at her, asking why she didn't warn him that the date was with Duoduo. She replies that if she had told him the truth, our protagonist wouldn't have shown up. He freaks out and says that if he had known it was her, he would never have agreed to participate. Ye Chen remembers the pain he felt when she poisoned him in the past during the war. That even though his body is indestructible, the pain he felt will take a long time to heal. His sister, in a calm voice, asks if he didn't find her cute. Our protagonist crouches on the ground, completely speechless as he sighs. Ye Chen uses his powers and makes a cigarette appear out of thin air. Then, he lights the cigarette with a snap of his fingers, showing off his incredible skill. Our protagonist says his mother was right and that beautiful women are poison. But his sister gets angry and yells that 10 years ago, he wouldn't have stood a chance with someone Duoduo. He accuses her of forcing them together, and that she's hiding something from him. With a serious look, he threatens to read her mind if she doesn't tell him the truth right now. At that, his eyes glow with a golden power as he activates his telepathy skill. His sister panics and begs him not to dare invade her privacy like that. Our protagonist demands that she give him a very good reason for all of this. The two sit on the edge of the building, and the assistant looks away, seeming thoughtful. She begins to speak and says that if the blind date fails, something bad will happen. She reveals that there will be no place left for that poor girl in the world if their date doesn't work out. With a serious and worried expression, she looks to the side as the wind blows through her hair. Hearing that, our protagonist is completely shocked and speechless at the revelation. She explains that after the world's mutation, various spells and abilities spread across the internet. The assistant explains that cultivation apps started appearing on computers and cell phones. With that, factions created territories and developed weapons like the first Zombie King. Other groups also created their own humanoid weapons to maintain a balance of power. Each of these weapons possessed divine abilities with the power of mass destruction. It was then that a ranking of human weapons emerged to classify the power of each one. His assistant reveals that back then, Duo was just a little girl in second grade. She and a group of classmates were locked up to cultivate a very dangerous poison method. The children were forced to participate in a terrible ritual to create the poison master. After all that, only little Duo managed to survive until the end of the process. Ye Chen reflects that he was also forced to fight hard to become the anchor that ended the war. He asks what that has to do with Duo not having a place to belong. His sister points to the city and says that in peacetime, everyone reveres and adores him as a hero. She asks him, but what about her? What's her place in this new world of peace? Duo's reputation as the saint of 10,000 poisons makes everyone fear her like a walking weapon. The story flashes back to Lan Duo, alone and lost in thought in an empty space. A moment later, a little girl appears and, with a smile, offers her a doll. The child seems genuinely happy to be giving Duo this gift. Lan Duo reaches out to take the little doll the girl is offering, but for some reason, she ends up dropping the toy. Just then, the child's father arrives and bows frantically, apologizing over and over. From there, the man scoops up his daughter and scrambles away from the place in utter fear. Lan Duo just watches the whole scene unfold with a slightly sad expression on her face. And once again, she's all alone. Back in the present, our protagonist, Yi Chen, smokes a cigarette with a serious look on his face. Beside him, Lin Wei asks if he's afraid of her like everyone else is. She blushes a little as she waits for Yi Chen's answer. Our MC just keeps staring at the horizon with his usual cold expression. Annoyed by this, Lin Wei smacks him and asks if he really thinks he's all that. She complains that he only beat her one time and swears she'll catch up to him very soon. Yi Chen lets out a laugh and tells Lin Wei to just chill out, he'll handle everything himself. His assistant looks back at him with an expression that says she's not buying it. She turns and asks what our protagonist really plans to do. Without warning, Yi Chen opens a teleportation portal right behind the young woman's head. Then, he shoves her straight through the portal, which leads directly to their office. After that, the guy just snaps his fingers with a smirk on his face, closing the gateway. Because of this, Lin Wei is launched back into her office, completely off guard. The poor girl ends up tumbling awkwardly right on top of her own work chair. She immediately jumps up and glares furiously at where the portal used to be. Her expression makes it crystal clear just how ticked off she is at him. Meanwhile, our protagonist stands alone on the rooftop, watching over the city. In the sky, a gigantic magic circle appears, signaling that something big is about to go down. The guy lets out a tired sigh, looking completely bored by the situation. He reflects that this life of being the strongest and loneliest isn't what he wants. With that thought in mind, Yi Chen simply teleports from the top of the building. Our MC appears in the restaurant, right in front of Lan Duo. The guy has a surprised look on his face when he sees the girl standing there, waiting for him. Seeing this, Yi Chen asks how long she's been there and why she didn't say anything sooner. She says that the Great Witch told her to listen to him, and that she was supposed to wait for him there. Our protagonist thinks about how she was trained since she was a child to be an order, following machine. Pushing those thoughts aside, he invites her to sit at one of the tables. And so the two of them sit down across from each other in a deeply awkward silence. Yi Chen then breaks the ice, reminding her that they know each other and have already tried to, end one another. Hearing this, Lan Duo asks if this means they can get married now. The guy gets all flustered and tells her to stop thinking about that, since they know each other way too well. While thinking, Yi Chen grabs a glass of water to calm himself down a bit after that conversation. But the girl then asks if he wants to be a father, suggesting they could even just, find a baby in a dumpster. And with that, our protagonist chokes and spits all the water right in Duo's face. The poor girl is left completely stunned, with a look of someone who has no idea what just happened. In a panic, Yi Chen apologizes and grabs a napkin to try and clean her face. Yi Chen is completely embarrassed by the situation while Lan Duo wipes her own face. In his head, he's screaming that dealing with this girl's feelings is harder than any fight. So, Yi Chen takes a deep breath and composes himself to explain things properly. He says that dating is a two-person thing, and he's not in love with her yet. With that, he suggests that if she really wants to get married, she first needs to learn how to smile. Our protagonist then holds her cheeks with his fingers and forces a smile onto her face. But at that exact moment, a strange purple smoke begins to fill the entire restaurant.
Nationwide is so much more than a great insurance company. They're one of America's largest financial services companies. Like how I'm more than just Peyton Manning. I'm also motivating Manning. When I say insurance, you say financial services. Insurance.
Financial services.
Insurance.
Financial services.
Now when I say nationwide, you say is both. Nationwide.
Is both.
Nationwide.
Is both.
For your insurance and financial needs, Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Investment Services Corporation, member FINRA, Columbus, Ohio.
Yi-Chen senses the danger as a bead of sweat runs down his face. The poisonous mist starts to corrode everything, and the entire building begins to crumble. In an instant, the place turns into a pile of ruins with purple energy coming from the ground. Yi-Chen asks why she released the poison, and she says it's a combat habit. He yells that this has to change, but the girl replies that it's a conditioned reflex. From the middle of the ruins, he insists on the question, and Duo finally agrees to change. Given her promise, our protagonist activates one of his most powerful god-like abilities. From there, he uses his timeline reversal to fix all the destruction. With his power, the restaurant returns to normal as if nothing had ever happened. Duo's jaw is on the floor, stunned by our protagonist's ability. She asks since when he could reverse time, and he says it was before he defeated her. The girl questions why she didn't know, and he replies that otherwise, it wouldn't be a secret power. In his thoughts, Yi-Chen reveals that he went back in time 1,000 times just to beat her race. He tells her to stay in the city and figure out a way to make his heart beat quicker. Duo completely misunderstands and says she'll create a poison for that and then marry him. Our protagonist gets nervous but asks if she can really pull something like that off. She explains that she already tried using various stimulants on him, but none of them actually worked. Her poisons didn't affect him, but they did make two little mice fall in love nearby. The girl boasts about being a professional and shows him her poison notebook, 66th edition. Yi-Chen sighs in relief, thinking about getting her a job so she can become a normal person. Suddenly, a furious shout of "Jerk" echoes through the restaurant, startling them both. A female voice yells for Yi-Chen to come out, promising to turn him into an obedient little servant. Our protagonist recognizes the voice and wonders who could possibly be making all that racket. Duo immediately identifies the voice as Yu Huali, the demon of the 100,000 mountains. With a savage smile, our protagonist gets excited because a strong opponent has finally shown up. He tells Duo to go find a job while he goes to blow off some steam in a fight. Yi-Chen floats into the air with a predatory gaze, awaiting his opponent's arrival. Flying up into the sky, Yi-Chen creates a pillar of energy with his sheer speed. Then he just hovers there in the sky, waiting for his challenger. The demon Yu Huali appears, leaping up at him with claws and red horns. The woman takes on a very intimidating battle form, looking like some kind of humanoid crustacean. The impact of her power creates a massive explosion of red energy in the middle of the sky. Down below, people wonder if Yu Huali has any idea who Yi-Chen is to be provoking him like that. One of the citizens even shouts, cheering our protagonist on to teach the demon race a lesson. The crowd watches the epic battle unfolding between the city's buildings. To defend himself, Yi-Chen simply catches the girl's hand. His tremendous strength leaves the girl completely paralyzed. He comments that she's not strong enough to keep herself to him. Furious, the demon shouts that despite his 49 defeats, she has invented a new move. With that, she backs away in the sky and yells at him to receive her new, devastating attack.